The Great Pyramid of Giza. It stood for 4,500 years, an absolute monument to human ambition. But seriously, how did they actually build it? That's what we're going to dig into right now. The incredible engineering genius behind one of history's greatest wonders.
I mean, that's the big question, right? Think about it. No cranes, no lasers, not even a single power tool. So, how on earth did they pull it off? How did ancient engineers build something on a scale that just boggles the mind?
And get this, it wasn't just about being big. The precision is what's truly mind-blowing. We're talking about a level of accuracy that would honestly be tough to match even today, with all our fancy tech. So yeah, let's start peeling back the layers on this incredible mystery.
All right, to really get a handle on how clever their solutions were, you first have to grasp the sheer epic scale of the problem they were facing.
First up, let's talk weight. The Great Pyramid tips the scales at an estimated 6 million tons. Just try to wrap your head around that number for a second.
And that weight? It's made up of about 2.3 million individual stone blocks. Every single one of them had to be cut from a quarry, shaped, and then moved, all by hand.
And they stacked all of this up to a jaw-dropping 480 feet tall. For almost 4,000 years, this was the tallest thing humans had ever built on the entire planet. So to put all that into perspective for you, the base of the pyramid is so huge it could fit 9 football fields inside it. And its total weight, it's like stacking up 12 Burj Khalifas, the tallest building in the world today. Yeah, the scale is just almost impossible to fully grasp. Okay, so where do you even begin with a project like this? Well, it all starts with the foundation. And right out of the gate, the engineers had 2 massive problems to solve.
First up, alignment. The Great Pyramid is pointed to true north, south, east, and west with an accuracy that is just staggering. We're talking almost zero error. It's a phenomenal achievement, but they didn't have a compass. So how in the world did they do it?
The answer, it turns out, was written in the stars. Literally, they used the North Star, Polaris, which is a fixed point in the night sky. From that, they could draw a perfect directional line. It's an incredible display of astronomy, basically using the entire cosmos as a giant surveying tool. To apply that to a structure this massive, with that kind of accuracy, well, that's just pure genius.
All right, so the alignment is perfect. But now you've got another huge hurdle, making the ground perfectly level. And we're not talking about a small patch of dirt. This is a 13-acre construction site. Any little bump or dip could throw the whole thing off. So again, no lasers, no modern gear. How do they get it perfectly flat?
They turned to the most reliable leveler on the planet: water. It's brilliant, really. They dug a network of trenches all around the site, filled them up with water, and voila, you have a perfectly level reference line. All they had to do then was chisel away everything above that water line. They used a simple law of physics, that water always finds its own level, and scaled it up to create an astonishingly perfect foundation. Okay, foundation done. Now for the next headache, the materials. We're talking millions upon millions of tons of stone, limestone, and granite that all had to be cut out of the earth and somehow moved to the site.
Now here's the thing, the Egyptians had copper tools. And if you know anything about metal, you know copper is pretty soft. Limestone, on the other hand, is, well, it's rock. It's hard. So how could you possibly cut 2.3 million blocks of stone with tools that seem way too weak for the job?
Turns out, there were some of the world's first metallurgists. They figured out that if you mix a little bit of arsenic with copper, you create a kind of bronze alloy that's way, way harder. Suddenly, their chisels were strong enough to take on the limestone. It just goes to show they had this incredible grasp of material science, centuries ahead of its time.
But not all the blocks were nice, manageable chunks of limestone. Oh no. Some of the granite blocks, the ones they used for the really important inner chambers, they weighed up to 50 tons a piece.
50 tons. That's about the weight of 3 passenger buses. Now imagine trying to move that. Not just a few feet, but over 250 kilometers from the quarry all the way to Giza. It sounds like an absolute logistical nightmare. But their solution was just so elegant, so simple. They used the Nile River. They turned it into a massive superhighway. These huge, heavy blocks were loaded onto barges and just floated right to the construction site. They didn't fight the landscape, they used it. Pure logistical genius.
All right, so they've got their perfect foundation. They've got a steady stream of stone blocks arriving. Now for the hard part, building up.
And this is probably the question everyone asks. How in the world did they lift these multi-ton blocks, some of them, remember, weighing 50 tons, hundreds and hundreds of feet into the air without a single crane?
Well, the leading theory is ramps. Massive, complex ramps. Some people think they might have spiraled up and around the outside of the pyramid as it got taller. Just imagine the sheer coordination it would have taken, the incredible engineering, and thousands of workers all pulling together to haul those giant stones higher and higher.
But, just when you think you've got it figured out, there's another mystery. As archaeologists got deeper inside the pyramid, into the king's chamber, they realized the stone wasn't limestone anymore. It was granite. And granite is one of the hardest rocks on the entire planet.
And this is where their problem-solving skills just shine. Their special copper arsenic chisels, still not hard enough for granite. So they had to invent a whole new method. They took a copper saw with no teeth, and as they moved it back and forth over the granite, they poured abrasive sand into the groove. The saw was just providing the pressure and the motion. It was the sand doing the actual cutting. It must have taken forever. We're talking maybe 4 months for a single cut, but it worked. It worked perfectly.
So, when you step back and look at the big picture, it's just this incredible story, right? A series of what seemed like impossible engineering problems, and for every single one of them, they came up with a surprisingly simple, yet absolutely ingenious solution. Let's just quickly recap what we've seen.
Okay, so the problem was alignment? They used the North Star. The problem was getting the base perfectly level? They used water and trenches. Their tools were too soft to cut limestone? They invented a stronger metal with arsenic and copper. They had to move massive blocks. They used the river itself. Lifting those blocks, massive ramps and manpower. And cutting ultra-hard granite? They used simple sand as an abrasive. Every time, they met the challenge with this perfect combination of brains and sheer hard work.
And yet, for all we figured out, the pyramid is still full of mysteries. I mean, it makes you wonder, right? What other secrets, what other 4,500-year-old solutions are still locked away inside? The Great Pyramid, it's not just a pile of rocks. It's a monument to human ingenuity. It proves that with enough creativity and determination, even the impossible can become possible.